So this is Norwich 93 CMP doing the reassembly of the lower frame for the 1911. We're gonna reassemble it. Everything was clean. Took me about 2 to 3 hours to clean the whole frame inside. Everything that was in there. It's looking nice. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put the trigger back in. Now the trigger, it's got a little ramp to the back. That's the way it's gonna go in. Also, there's more portion of the trigger to the bottom than there's the top, and it just slides in. Making sure it's all the way in. I have my mag catch spring depressed. It's locked into it. I kind of like try to hold it upside down because now I know the trigger's all the way forward. It's not going to obstruct anything. And I drop it in. And she's not making it in because why? Let me see, there's a burr. It's a little beyond where it's supposed to be. Let me see. Yeah, I could have went back a little bit. So there's a little catch right there from that piece. So I just had to put it back in. Don't force it in. Line it up. And she goes back in. Now, tricky part is I put my screwdriver on it first, then I press from the bottom. See how it's loose? It would just fall out if I turned it upside down. And we're gonna turn, and I think I saved, I did save it. Just to show you what it looks like. So this is the way we want it to look when it's inside. So we're gonna be turning it to the right, but we gotta catch it in a certain area. So we're gonna have to find that sweet spot. So, oh, it went in. I was very lucky. See how it's vertical now, the slot? And it's caught. So I'm working on it. The screw head's not coming out. And then obviously my trigger doesn't come out. So if I put my magazine in, theoretically it should hold it fine. And it does. All right. That goes in first because this back portion, we have to have it in when we do some of the smaller parts. Okay, so now basically we're working backwards and we're going to be putting in the sear and the disconnector. Now, the sear is the open area, the concave portion is going to be facing you in the camera. And the disconnector, there's a tab. It's going to point down to the bottom and there's going to be a nice little ramped portion. That ramp is going to be towards you. If you're looking at it from the left-hand side, it's going to go in this way. So the concave portion, just like the sear, is going to face you. And this is like, some people will put this in backwards by accident, and it really screws stuff up. When I do this, I put them together first, and then I just pinch them, and I have to go through that hole right there. So I kind of like put my thumb up inside here, and I am putting the disconnector. Okay, so disconnector went in. Oh, no, it didn't. I have to play around with it. So I have a non-metallic something. You're gonna probably need it. It's not in the hole. When we test it, we're going to want to see it coming through the hole up top here. And right now she is not behaving. All right, so I pushed up from the underside a little bit. Let's see if I can get it. All right, now see how I slid it up a lot more now? You can see where the wear pattern is right here on the back of the trigger. That's where your disconnector is going to sit. And if I hold it in place, you can see it coming out the top. That's how we're checking that, okay? Just be very gentle with this right now because we're going to do some alignment. And we're way, way, way off. see. All right, my disconnector's in a good spot. I'm just gonna get my sear in. Oh, not too far. See that hole? So this portion right there, let me see if I can do it again. That portion you're seeing is the disconnector. It's got to come towards the back of the pistol now. So I'm just going to try with this broken piece of, let's see if I can do it all together at once. Oh, I got it. Look at that. I was lucky as all hell. Now the question is, did I catch the sear? And I did. Okay, so that's all lined up right now. Now I take my sear pin, and remember, I got the larger head is going to go in from the left to the right. The head's going to be on the left. So I'm just following my little guide rod all the way through. You suck. Try it again. Do a little jiggling. There we go, there we go. And I think we're almost home. You should be able to put it in with just your fingers. You shouldn't have to tap it in. Now we're just gonna double check again, make sure we got the sear on there. It's a little bound up for some reason. But it's on there, I can see it. Disconnector's moving freely, that's good. A little concerned about my sear right now. Sorry, I'm spinning it around. There we go, okay, so it's a little loose now. The sear, you gotta make sure that this part is on the outside and it's not underneath the disconnector. It's gotta be free like that. And like I say, you shouldn't have to tap it in. Don't force things. These are pretty simple, you know, machines, so just be careful. Now I take my my trigger spring. It's a combination, it does a bunch of stuff. I got my tab in the bottom. When you do this, because there's a bunch of different tabs that are at different angles, when it sits in there, it's going to want to come out and turn out like this. You got to be careful to make sure that the bottom stays in. And I'll put some pressure on in a minute. Put the top in first. It's going to lay on top of the disconnector, and then I just wrote it up here and it clicked in. Keeping my thumb on it. I personally like to start the mainspring housing now. It's just going to keep it in place. It's just going to act like my thumb. One thing I wanted to talk about, and I didn't do this earlier, is that the mainspring could come apart too. If it's not messed with, leave it alone. There's a pin in here. It's under pressure. This is for the lanyard loop. There's a pin here that holds that plunger down inside there. Hold on. Holds that plunger inside there. Mine is really nice. There's no reason to mess with it. So I don't recommend anyone ever touching the mainspring house unless there's issues going on, like it's binding up. And the same goes for the hammer and the hammer strut. That pin in there sometimes is pushed in pretty good. It didn't fall out like the barrel link did. I just left it alone. I'm not going to play around with it. It may be under just enough pressure. I'm just going to leave it alone. There's no sense. It's not sandy as I'm moving and working it. It's free. I'm just going to leave it alone. And I didn't talk about that last time, and I wanted to make it up at least in this video here. Okay, so I'm making sure my spring is in. I'm just pressing down, just slightly down towards the front of the pistol, and getting my two rails lined up, and that's it. That's all I'm doing. It's just in there. And it keeps it nice and square, and I can operate and do things without any issues. Now I have my palm safety. My palm safety is just basically going straight in. You can look and you see where the spring's reaching up over here. You may have to come down. See these little clips right here? Another reason the spring housing cannot be all the way in seated, because these are going to have to fit on the inside of it. Basically, she's pretty close to being in place. That's going to work good. Now, when you do your hammer, I just want to show something to you. right there on the top of the plunger. The plunger's concave. The strut needs to sit in that center point. Don't make it to the sides or anything like that, because you could really screw it up. You want it centered, okay? And she's gonna go in good, okay. Come on. All right, so what I was doing was lining up my hammer. I line up the holes all nicey nice. The same thing, nice clean pin. The head to the left, going from the left to the right. Shouldn't have to force it. Went in perfectly fine. Now, when it's laying in here, it's gonna lay in the middle. Taking my palm safety, and she should go in nice and straight, and she did. Okay. Now, me personally, I like finishing up my mainspring housing now. Why? Because if there's anything wrong with catching here, you're gonna have issues. What's the sense of going farther up here if I can't get this in properly? So I don't put in my safety right now, and some people can, and you could temporarily put it in this way and stuff, and kind of holds it. Yeah, okay, do it that way if you want. I'm really watching that strut as I'm pushing, and it caught it, and I could see, and I'm verifying that it's centered in that hole, and I'm gonna send it home now. I'm just pushing down. If you'd like, you can start your pin. Don't forget, the concave is going to be towards you, because that's the way it's going to come out. Or excuse me, that's the way we started when we drifted it out from left to right. So I'm going to push this in. Let's see what happens. All right, it's under some tension. It's not all the way in because of the palm safety. It was in the way. All right, there we go. Now we're all the way in. Let's see if I can do it for you. I don't know if I can do it, but obviously it's not lined up. And what I'm doing is I'm compressing it, making sure my palm safety is in at the same time. And I'm gonna throw my pin in there. This is the pain in the ass, folks. This is the pain in the ass. So I'm pushing it down, palm safety screwing it up again. And then I start it. Double check, make sure my palm safety's in. Yes, I'm nice and flush. I started it. Now I'll lay it down flat and send it home, okay? That's good enough for me. Finish it off with my punch. Double check my work. Yep. Hammer. Yep, got some pressure on that. Now, you're gonna have to cock the hammer back, but you gotta move this up and out of your way because it's a pain in the neck. Cocking the hammer back. Be careful. Yes, it can fire. You don't want it to. I'm pushing in the palm safety, and I'm starting about 10 o'clock, and I'm pushing inward, and I'm coming to about 10 o'clock. Oops. See, this is another reason. Don't forget your plunger assembly. Shelf side goes forward towards the muzzle, and the full goes to the rear. All right. Started about the left, but went down. It was super simple, super clean. So it's super simple. Me personally, just be very careful. I mean, you could put the safety theoretically on right now, and it's gonna hold it. But when we're trying to finish off the pistol, just be cognizant that it may fire on you. Me personally, I'll fire it, and once I get everything together, then I'll finish it off and cock the hammer back, put the slide on. All right, so now the grips. Now, there's something that I do. I don't know if people agree with it, but this is the way I do things. When I tighten it, I'm not going overly tight. It's just snug. I'll snug one, snug the other one, and do like a little turn on each. Now, one of the key things that I do is with the screws. I'm going to start it off with a small screwdriver, and I'm going to put the screw head in so they stick up, right? When I use my small screwdriver, I align it up and down, right? And I'm going to go counterclockwise, and there's a click, and I'll feel it in the screwdriver. It's when the threads are going on top of each other, and then when it clears, let's see if it does it. Right there, did you hear that click? That means I know it's ready to be seated to be turned clockwise to be tightened, okay? Whoop. Not good. Now I can start it. Now it's started. I can do the same one for this one. Sorry, it's a little dark over there, folks. There we go. I just heard a click, and now it's going. Now I know I'm not cross-threaded. Now I can take my proper screwdriver snug. See how it turned the pistol? Just a little bit more. Turn the pistol, that's fine. See, they're not hollow sounding. One of the things I want to tell you what I did, and I neglected to show you, when I clean these, I'll hold it in my hand like this, and then I'll use my pin, and I redid this. I know I did it to take them off, but I redo them every time because I might not be able to get into the corners and clean them up, and then I use my nylon brush in them. And then for the threads, I'll keep it on something like this, and then I'm using my fingernail, and I'm pushing into the threads, and then I will basically unthread it out with a paper towel, and it cleans the threads out really nice. See? So that's one of the little tricks I do to clean threads on, especially these smaller screws. All right, I'm gonna put this one on. I had cleaned the frame. I do have some blood pitting on here. I think their hand was a little bit high up on the grip safety, and the hammer came back and caught them. There was some blood pitting in the back side of the safety, and a little bit right here, and a little bit right here. So it is what it is, but that's one of those things that happen with 1911s. I cleaned the grips. Don't ever try to like line up screws, and I set them up a certain way. But since I clean this off, theoretically, it's going to be a different height. So don't worry about the screws and the alignments of that. That's just too much. You're overdoing it. And this one's going to be a pain in the ass, right? Suppose you can start them with your hand. That's fine if you want to. I like hearing that metallic click. Doesn't hurt anything. All it is just falling beyond the threads. Got a little resistance, so I stopped. Little resistance, so I stopped. Now I'm going to twist for the snug. It's twisting the gun pretty well. That's good enough. That's it. My grips don't rattle. That's all you need. That's how you reassemble all the small parts internal to the 1911 series pistols. Thanks for watching. Now I'm going to do the assembly.